width, yeah, about the width of a head. From each side, you're gonna come out from that 1.5 inch mark, and you're just gonna kind of give the guide for the shoulder. Okay, so if I go, turn it, maybe about 3/4 of the head rather, okay? So that you have a guideline for the shoulders starting at the base of the neck. Okay? Everybody got the little guideline for their shoulder? I use my fingers to sort of measure. Sometimes I'll just use like my finger and my thumb to kind of go like that and go, yeah, that's about right. From either side of the guideline, it's about 3/4 of the head, or about the size of the head. Shoulders vary in width, okay? The skinnier you make your model, the more it will look like a high fashion model. Okay, the next thing. You're gonna pay attention to the line that matches up with number 3. That's pretty much where your waist is, okay? And your waist, if I use the center guideline as a model, the waist is about the length of one head. So if I go like this, and then I go like this, that's about how wide I want the waist to be.
On what line?
On number 3. Okay, so the number 3 line, you want another guideline there as well. Okay? You look at mine for a guide. I've got the head, the neck, which goes down to the 1.5 inch mark. You put the shoulders in, which are about, each shoulder goes out maybe 3/4 to a head length. Okay? And then the waist is about a head length. Okay, which means if I put my finger and thumb like this around the head, and then I kind of turn it and go like this down to number 3, that's about how wide you want that line to be. Okay? Now what you're going to do is just sort of connect the end of the shoulder down toward the waist. Like this, and like that. So you have a rather trapezoid-like shape at this point. Okay? Now, to figure out where the arm socket sort of goes, between the end of the shoulder, okay, and the number 2 line, you're just going to draw a little oval, a sort of an ellipse, actually, a very flat oval shape, which goes between the number 2 and the top of the shoulder. You just kind of lay a little oval shape, and you do that on each side. That's going to determine, once we actually come back up here and finish the arms, that's going to determine how wide the arm should be where it connects to the shoulders. Okay? And we have to make this neck look a little bit more attached also. It looks a little funny, like it's just floating on top of that line. So what I'm going to do is kind of come down from the neck where I've already drawn sort of a concavity here, and I'm just going to come down like this and connect it, and maybe just sort of round this out a little bit so the shoulder looks a little bit rounder and not so pointy. Okay, I'm just going to come down from the neck so it connects better. Just makes a smoother connection between neck and the top of the shoulders. Okay, and then you have the little ovals hanging off there between the ends and the number 2. And you've got pretty much most of the top of this figure taken care of. And then you're going to need your ruler again, but I'm going to give everybody a chance to catch up to that point. Got it? All right. Anybody need more time?
I do.
Okay. I'll give you a sec. Good? All right. Here we go. From the waist, I want you to measure a 1/4 inch. Okay? An inch divides equally into 4 sections, so a 1/4 is... I'm going to zoom in so you can see with the ruler in case you're not sure what a 1/4 inch looks like. There we go. Okay, so you can see my ruler from the edge of the ruler. Okay? At first, big long line. That's a 1/4 inch. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4. An inch divides neatly into 4 equal sections. So that first section, what you want to do is measure away from the waist. Just put a little mark. You need an extra line right here, 1/4 of an inch lower than the waist. So you're giving yourself another little guideline. So measure that 1/4 inch and then give yourself another little guide. That little guideline will be erased, so it doesn't matter how long it is. Okay? We will eventually erase this line that I just drew, but we need it to sort of create what I believe is the ilium. It's part of your hip. Yes, Austin.
I'm confused with the shoulder part of the socket.
I'll zoom in, or zoom out rather. Can you see that better? Okay. So if you look, the shoulder, okay, once you've determined the length of the shoulder, okay, which is about a head to 3/4 of a head, and you've made that connection, right, going down to number 3, then all you have to do is draw this little elliptical shape, okay, right inside the shape that you drew for the torso, and have that little elliptical shape start where the shoulder ends, and then it doesn't go any further, though, than the number 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's kind of where you're going to, like, plug your arms in.
No, that's cool.
Is anybody else confused? Or we're pretty good? It's good? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're also going to draw from the number 4, okay, right here. Also give yourself another guideline, a 1/4 of an inch lower than that number 4. So you're adding some extra guidelines over here, okay? Yep, I can't, so here's number 4, the number 4 line, and what I did is I measured 1/4 of an inch lower and drew a longer line. This one will get erased also. That's basically where we have to stop the bottom half of the torso. Okay? Now that we have these extra little guidelines in place, this is pretty easy. All you have to do is connect the bottom of the waist, okay, down. You can actually come down just a little bit straight if you want. Just a little bit on each side, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're actually going to sort of create a little bit of a curve, okay? And that little curve will just hit that first guideline that you made that was a 1/4 of an inch lower than the number 3. Just put a little tiny curve. You don't want it to be too crazy because you want these 2 little curves that you just drew to be less wide than the shoulders. You want the shoulders to be a little bit wider. So all I did was come down straight from the 3 guideline just a little bit, and before I actually got to the new guideline that you drew, just put a little bit of a curve on each side. Very simple little step, but will make the figure look much more feminine. Okay? Just need those 2 little, because you got to put a little bit of hip in there. Essentially, the number 4, the guideline below the number 4 is the guideline for the actual hips. So the next thing that you do, it's pretty simple, okay? You can just come on down to that guideline that you drew. Curve it slightly, but not too much. Okay, that shows the outer side of, or outer edges of the leg or the hip. And then what you can also do is from that other guideline that you did, it's a little lower than the 3, you can kind of go like this. It almost looks like a little bathing suit or underwear, okay?